total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister Holness says under his stewardship, Jamaica is better able to withstand global economic shocks.
He was reacting to the IMF's warning to smaller economies about the risk they face due to growing instability in global trade.
The difference is we have policies in place that are driving down our debt so that when the global shocks occur, Jamaica will be able to withstand those global shocks.
The Bank of Jamaica reopens 3 bonds totaling $35 billion to finance the government's budgetary requirements.
Ministry of Education testing artificial intelligence AI in schools.
Submachine gun seized during police operation in St. Elizabeth today.
In news from the rest of the world, tuition-free regime in effect at the University of Guyana.
Trump criticizes Zelensky over refusal to accept Russian control of Crimea.
In headline sports, Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies batting star is named Wisden Cricketer of the Year.
And later on our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Senator Delano Seabright has applied to succeed Carl Samuda as a JLP standard bearer for North Central St. Andrew, possibly triggering another runoff. One of the councillors in the constituency, Susan Senior, will join us. We'll also hear from public commentator Jermaine Barrett.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, do politicians take environmental issues seriously? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And in the nation's business at 6:40, we'll bring you Prime Minister Holness's address at the commissioning ceremony for the new irrigation system at the Parnassus Agro Park in Clarendon today.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyating's Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, April 23, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says a recent report by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, validates his administration's push to achieve economic stability. He says under his stewardship, Jamaica is better able to withstand global economic shocks. The Prime Minister was reacting to comments by the IMF's Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, that smaller economies will be most at risk due to growing instability in global trade. Mahiri Stewart reports.
Last week, the IMF's Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, announced that the fund will be slashing projections for global growth this year as a result of growing trade instability. She was delivering the IMF's curtain raiser presentation, her first major speech in the wake of recent U.S. trade escalations. The IMF Managing Director warned that smaller economies will be the ones to suffer the most from the ongoing clash of titans, calling on such nations to focus on building resilience and entrenching prudent fiscal reforms. The fund, in its World Economic Outlook, says as of April 4, global growth is projected to drop to 2.8% in 2025 and 3% in 2026 from 3.3% in January. For Latin America and the Caribbean, growth has been revised down to a regional average of 2% in 2025 and 2.4% in 2026. While delivering the keynote address at the commissioning ceremony for the Parnassus irrigation system in Clarendon today, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness pointed to the IMF's warning, noting that Jamaica has suffered economically due to similar issues in the past.
In her presentation, she said that when these major changes are happening globally, it is the small countries that are impacted the most. Jamaica has been this way before. In the 70s, there was a global move to increase oil prices, and that led to massive economic dislocations in Jamaica, precipitated a debt crisis for Jamaica. And the truth is that the impact from the 70s and the 80s followed us through to now.
However, Prime Minister Holness sought to contrast that situation with Jamaica today. Dr. Holness says under his leadership, Jamaica is better prepared to cushion the impact of any global economic disruption.
She said a lot of the vulnerability of small countries is because they are highly indebted or are facing climbing debt. Today, Jamaica is still relatively indebted, not highly, but the difference is we have policies in place that are driving down our debt, even in the face of crisis. Even when there are politicians who would say, ignore reducing the debt, spend now. We have not done that. We have remained committed to driving down the debt so that when the global shocks occur, Jamaica will be able to withstand those global shocks.
The Prime Minister says Jamaica is already answering the IMF Managing Director's call for countries to place greater focus on climate resilience and bureaucratic agility.
She says that we must build infrastructure to mitigate against climate impact. And that is what we have been doing. If you look at this here, this is exactly what this agro-park is. We are building infrastructure that will mitigate the impact of climate. But she also said that we have to improve our regulatory and bureaucratic environment in order to be agile. And that is the next stage of our government policy now, to pivot, to create the competitive advantage with our bureaucracy. We must be agile, we must become efficient, we must become more productive, and we must become more peaceful as a people.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Bank of Jamaica BOJ has reopened 3 bonds totaling $35 billion with the purpose of financing the government's budgetary requirements. The 3 instruments were announced by the central bank on their website last week. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The largest bond at $18 billion will provide a fixed interest rate of 11.8% per annum. The first interest payment will become due and payable on June 11, 2025. Thereafter, interest will be due and payable half-yearly on December 11 and June 11 at the fixed interest rate until maturity on December 11, 2030. That's a tenor of 5 years and 8 months. The second instrument, valued at $12 million, has an interest yield of 7.5% per annum. The first interest payment will become due and payable on August 28, 2025. Thereafter, interest will be due and payable half-yearly on February 28 and August 28 until maturity on February 28, 2035. That's a tenor of 9 years and 10 months. The final bond is valued at $5 billion with a fixed interest rate of 8.25% per annum. The first interest payment will become due and payable on September 18, 2025. Thereafter, interest will be due and payable half-yearly on March 18 and September 18 until maturity on March 18, 2040. All 3 instruments have a subscription date of Friday, April 25, 2025. The settlement date is for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. The minimum bid amount is $1,000. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Artificial intelligence, AI, is now being tested in schools to help teachers with administrative duties in the classroom. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon made the disclosure while addressing the Jamaica Teachers Association's 2025 annual conference at the Ocean Coral Spring in Trelawney on Tuesday.
The Ministry of Education, we are testing AI tools in school to support teachers with marking and administrative tasks. I remember when I was a teacher, I hated to mark. It was the worst part. Setting the tests, all right. Teaching was all right. But marking the papers was not fun. And so we have AI technology that we're testing in schools now to have the AI mark the papers so that the teachers can spend more time doing what is really important, which is interacting with our students. So this is freeing up valuable time so teachers can focus on what's the important things.
However, Dr. Morris Dixon stressed that teachers cannot be replaced by technology.
If Jamaica is to fully prepare our young people for the realities of the 21st century, we must reimagine our approach to teaching and learning. The Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information fully embraces this challenge. We believe technology is an accelerator of teaching, but importantly, the teacher remains central to the classroom experience. And that's important. The teacher is central to the classroom experience. Technology can't replace a teacher. So the technology can just assist, can enable the teacher in the classroom, but the centrality of it is about the teacher.
Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, the Minister of Education.
MP for Southwest St. Elizabeth Floyd Green believes that the matter of unsettled seats in the JLP ahead of the general election is a reflection of the party's increasing attractiveness to young people. He was reacting to questions about the North Central St. Andrew constituency following news that Government Senator Delano Seavright has thrown his hat into the ring.
You can see that people want to represent the Labour Party. Normally with incumbency, people are saying, well, we're tired of them. People are fighting to represent the Jamaica Labour Party. They want to be on the Choose Jamaica team. And that is good. We're talking about high quality candidates. Candidates of caliber. Any of them who represent, we would be proud of.
It's understood that Seavright's announcement sets up the possibility of a high-stakes runoff to select a replacement for outgoing MP Carl Samuda. This as Christian Tavares Finson was reportedly set to be named the party's standard-bearer in the constituency. Christian is the son of JLP veteran and Senate President Tom Tavares Finson. When pressed about who is being considered for North Central St. Andrew, MP Green did not give a direct response. But according to him, the JLP has enough talent to secure any seat.
When you can put two people, a Christian and a Delano, and say both are trying to be representative of the Labour Party, it says to me, good things are happening. The vision of Andrew Holness has come through and more young people want to serve. So I'm very happy and the work is happening. Even when there are changes made in some constituencies, it doesn't mean that the representatives are not of a high caliber. So our representatives can find favor almost anywhere.
Floyd Green, Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth. He was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Wednesday. The JLP recently completed candidate selection contests in South Manchester, Northwest Clarendon and Western Westmoreland, but a number of other seats remain unsettled just months ahead of the upcoming polls.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Saucy Wings. Mango habanero and buffalo. Hot, spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious, spicy, the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger-licking good.
Already have a T-Tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Download the My T-Tag app, available on Google Play Store or the App Store, and add funds to your T-Tag from anywhere you're there. Also, keep checking the LED screens at our toll plazas for periodic promo codes, which will give you bonus T-Tag credit when you enter it in the My T-Tag app. Top up your T-Tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Continuing the news, opposition spokesman in health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, is demanding the resignation of the chairman of the South East Regional Health Authority, Wentworth Charles, over the $31 million purchase of a single neuro drill. The drill was bought for the Bustamante Hospital for Children. Dr. Dawes is calling for full accountability from both the Ministry of Health and Wellness and SERA about the purchase. He's describing the procurement as, at best, gross incompetence and, at worst, highly technical corruption.
SERA's purchase of a single neuro drill at double the reasonable cost is indefensible. While our hospitals crumble, this reckless spending exposes a broken system. I met with SERA's leadership and their answers were alarming. Doctors were forced to choose between a $30 million drill or a $50 million drill, neither a fair price. The procurement process failed them. No competitive bids, no transparency, no proof this was in Jamaica's best option. This is not just waste. It is either gross incompetence or highly technical corruption. Meanwhile, SERA's chairman silences critics instead of fixing the crisis. I call for Wentworth Charles' immediate resignation.
According to Dr. Dawes, SERA attempted to shift blame to the medical staff, claiming the purchase was driven by doctors who specified the technical requirements. He rejected that argument, noting that the procurement system failed to offer doctors any meaningful options.
Environment Minister Matthew Samuda says the government would have to change aspects of the Access to Information Act in order to facilitate the ratification of the Escazú Agreement.
The primary issue with the Escazú Agreement is not related to any environmental law. It's actually related to the ATI Act. It requires persons to provide information on environmental questions within 15 days. Our current ATI Act is for 30 days. We have a resource constraint that affects everything from crime and economy and all the other issues that are front and center, sticking to the 30 days. So shifting a law to say that you will move to 15 days where you have no capacity to deliver within 15 days is not a front to transparency. It is an acknowledgement and an honest acknowledgement that you simply don't have the resources to stick to 15 days in terms of putting out the information.
The agreement, which was adopted in the Escazú, Costa Rica in 2018, guarantees access to environmental information, promotes public participation in environmental decision-making, and ensures access to justice in environmental matters. Jamaica signed the agreement in 2019. However, without ratification, the protection provided by the treaty cannot be accessed by citizens. The delay in ratifying has triggered criticism from environment groups. The Escazú Agreement came into effect on International Earth Day, April 22, 2021. In a release on Tuesday, a coalition of 34 groups and individuals chided the government for its mismanagement of the environment. They also called for the ratification of the treaty.
The St. Elizabeth Police seized a submachine gun during an operation in the community of Slipe on Wednesday. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Coleridge Minto, says canoes were also seized during the operation.
At about 11 a.m. today, a team of officers conducted a targeted operation in the Slipe community in the vicinity of Timber Bridge. The general area was searched to include the morass. A number of canoes were seen. Those were also checked and a search conducted in the bushy areas. At the end of the search, an Intratec submachine gun was seized, no round found, the serial number erased. The team is continuing the search in this area based on the intelligence that several other prohibited weapons are in this general area.
Superintendent Coleridge Minto, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute
The University of Guyana is now offering free tuition for all new and continuing students. The initiative was confirmed in a media release by the university on Tuesday. It's in keeping with a commitment made by President Dr. Irfan Ali in last October that the university will be tuition-free starting the following year. As of January 1 this year, tuition fees have been scrapped for all programs at the university, including diploma, bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees. President Ali says the measure will immediately benefit over 11,000 enrolled students. The release says applications for the 2025-2026 academic year officially opened on April 1. The application period will end on May 16. To facilitate the rollout of free tertiary education, the university received a $13 billion allocation in the 2025 national budget. The move comes as Guyana continues to see a boost in its economic growth following its 2015 discovery of nearly 11 billion barrels of oil in the country. Guyana is now recognized as having one of the fastest growing economies globally.
President Donald Trump has accused Volodymyr Zelensky of harming peace negotiations. This after the Ukrainian president said Kyiv would not recognize Russian control of Crimea. Writing on Truth Social, Trump claimed a deal to end the war was very close, but that Zelensky's refusal to accept U.S. terms will do nothing but prolong the conflict. Earlier, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance laid out the U.S. vision for a deal, saying it would freeze the territorial lines close to where they are today. Ukraine has long said it will not give up Crimea, which was illegally annexed by Russia in 2014. Vance said the deal would mean Ukraine and Russia are, quote, both going to have to give up some of the territory they currently own.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says under his stewardship, Jamaica is better able to withstand global economic shocks.
He was reacting to the IMF's warning to smaller economies about the risk they face due to growing instability in global trade.
The central bank, the BOJ, has reopened 3 bonds totaling $35 billion to finance the government's budgetary requirements.
Ministry of Education testing artificial intelligence AI in schools.
Submachine gun seized during a police operation today in Slipe, St. Elizabeth. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines are at 6.
The benefits of the NWC debt amnesty will continue to flow for another 2 months. Oh yes, from now until May 31, you may qualify for debt write-offs. Also, if your residential account has been disconnected for 6 months or more, you may qualify. Pensioners, past beneficiaries, and those with commercial accounts may also qualify. So, what are you waiting for? Dial 888-225-5692 or visit a commercial office today to find out if you qualify. The NWC debt amnesty, a part of our bucket full of goodies.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica ended the 2025 West Indies Rising Stars Under 15 cricket competition on a winning note on Wednesday after beating the Windward Islands by 10 wickets in their final round game at the Sir Vivian Richards ground in St. John's, Antigua. The Jamaicans needed just 26 overs to dismiss the Windwards for 86, with only Jamie Wickham, 42, making an impression against Andrew Lloyd, 4 for 25, and a 2-wicket siege for Ikoni Robinson, Raheem Livingston, and Wayne Plummer. Wicketkeeper Luane Price, 32, and Rajay Magishi, 30, then shared in an unbeaten 87-run opening stand to steer Jamaica to their victory in just 12 overs. Meanwhile, Barbados retained their title after beating Guyana by 49 runs at Coolidge to end the tournament unbeaten. Seth Smith top scored for Barbados with 47 in their 209 for 1850 overs. Guyana were then dismissed for 160 in the 46th over as Brandon Henry cracked an even 50. Trinidad and Tobago also registered a swift victory. They beat the Leeward Islands by 6 wickets at the Antigua Recreation Ground. The Leewards were bowled out for 92 in the 26th over. Trinidad and Tobago raced to 93 for 4 in 16 overs and 4 balls. Grace Headley Cup champion St. Elizabeth Technical are in control at close on the opening day of the Issa Spalding Cup playoff against urban area Grey Shield champions Excelsior High at Stets. Excelsior were bowled out for 127. Demarius Scott, 34, and Jamari Daly, 27, made most runs as Kevon Brown claimed 3 for 31, Delante Scott 2 for 17, and Adrian Silvera 2 for 30. Stets were 90 for 4 in reply. Tariq Bryan is not out on 53. Nikolai McKenzie has so far taken 3 for 24. Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies batting star Nicholas Pooran has been named the 2024 Wisden T20 Cricketer of the Year. Pooran had a record-breaking year, averaging 40 with the bat while blasting 2,331 runs, many of those coming from mighty sixes. The previous record was 2,036 runs scored by Pakistan's Mohammad Rizwan, and he did that in 2021. Pooran has been sensational in franchise leagues around the world and also was in stellar form in West Indies colours. He became the West Indies top T20 run scorer in June of 2024, surpassing Chris Gale. Pooran also struck the most sixes in a calendar year in T20 cricket, 139 maximums, bettering Gale's 135 set in 2015. Liverpool's coronation as English Premier League champions has been further put on hold as Arsenal and Crystal Palace played out a 2-2 draw in the London derby at the Emirates on Wednesday. The Reds needed a Palace victory to secure a record-equaling 20th league title, but the Eagles had to come from behind twice to earn a point.
In by Odegaard, Kiwior! As simple as that! Arsenal will not retreat. Indeed, they hit the front in no time.
It's worn to Eza on the edge of the penalty area, through a crowd and in quite magnificently. What a well-worked set piece that is. The Berichi Eza getting Palace back on level terms.
Trossard, Leandro Trossard has threaded it in, and Arsenal reclaim their lead.
Oh, mistake. Bad mistake as well. Raya off his line. It is a sensational finish from Mateta. A defensive error, emphatically punished.
Jean-Philippe Mateta getting that final goal in the game. Liverpool must now wait until Sunday when they face Tottenham Hotspur at home to gain that point that will give them the title in front of their home supporters. Former FIFA Vice President Austin Jack Warner is demanding a full retraction, apology and compensation from former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, for statements allegedly made at a political meeting on April 16. Warner's legal team issued a pre-action protocol letter on Monday alleging that Dr. Rowley's statements falsely accused him of being a quote, international scam, evading justice and having been convicted and involved in financial misconduct. According to the letter, Warner contends that the assertions are entirely untrue and defamatory, pointing out that he has never been convicted of a crime, has not avoided court proceedings, and has not lost any legal case involving the Centre of Excellence football facility in Trinidad and Tobago. Warner's attorney, Anil Maharaj, claimed Dr. Rowley's statements caused serious reputational harm, especially during the ongoing election campaigning. Maharaj told the PNM's political leader that his remarks were particularly harmful because he was a prominent political figure with considerable influence. during the heat of an election campaign. He also said the statements are broadcast publicly and remain widely accessible online. Rowley has been given 14 days to respond to the letter. If no satisfactory response is received, Warner intends to initiate legal proceedings. And that will do it for sports at the minute. We're going to be back, though, at 6:05 with much more.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
What makes a Burrito Bond so attractive?
We have a history of strong financial performance and growth, demonstrating resilience.
Our leverage remains low relative to our peers.
The bond is available in both Jamaican and US dollars, ranging from 10 years between 2 to 10 years at attractive interest rates. Plus, it's expected to be listed, which will enhance liquidity for all investors.
Burrito Bonds are Burrito strong. Download our prospectus, call a Burrito advisor, and invest today.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC Saucy Wings with 2 new flavors. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have Saucy Wings. Delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC Saucy Wings crush the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New Saucy Wings is for me.
New KFC Saucy Wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC Saucy Wings. It's finger licking good.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
on
more
my TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait. I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
You ever get bun yet? The bun was sweet so much you can't resist. Me not talk about heartbreak. Me not talk about the bun was full of spice, raisin, and the perfect glaze. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. This is the bun where everybody need this Easter. If you don't get bun, you not live life right. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. Get the best type of bun from the right people. Mother's Bakery Easter bun. The bun you have to get with love in every bite. Available in select supermarkets.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Up a Total Tools. Beat waka figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dusk,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Tune in to CliffViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. Beats and Brands Live is the ultimate celebration of music, creativity, and innovation. This exciting event is part of Intellectual Property Week and brings together the vibrant worlds of business and entertainment under the theme IP and Music, Feel the Beat.
Expect a mini expo, live concert, giveaways, and the official opening ceremony, all for free. Vibe with artists, entrepreneurs, and industry insiders powered by Jaipo in partnership with Jaria and other creative powerhouses. Don't miss this fusion of culture, creativity, and commerce. It's where beats meet brands. So tune in to CliffViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Experience the joy of buying a brand new Hyundai without breaking the bank. Yes, buying a brand new car should never leave you broke. From stylish designs and safety features to comfortable driving and reliability, Hyundai is the choice. Hyundai vehicles come standard with 2 years free service and 5 years warranty and roadside assistance for your peace of mind. Drive 2 years without service cost and 5 years without fear of being stranded. Hyundai. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:38. It's time for the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, good afternoon to you, listeners and viewers. I'm Tyrone Reid. How are you doing, Sir Siobhan?
Doing quite well. Good to hear from you, Tyrone. How are you doing?
Not too shabby for a middle-aged guy. Yeah, good, thanks.
Well, it's politics today. Senator Delano Seabright has applied to replace Carl Samuda as the Jamaica Labour Party's standard bearer in North Central St. Andrew. He made the announcement in a video note to party workers Friday morning. Dana Davey has more in this report.
Senator Seabright says he made the decision after careful reflection and with the full support of the sitting Member of Parliament, Carl Samuda. Samuda has represented the constituency since 1980. He has the distinction of having the seat on both JLP and PNP tickets. Senator Siv Wright says he also has the backing of the two sitting councillors, Lee Clark and Susan Senior. It's understood the move to formally declare his interest in being the party's candidate in the traditionally safe JLP seat has raised eyebrows within the party. Nationwide sources say son of JLP veteran and Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, Christian Tavares Finson, was to have shortly been named the party's standard bearer in the constituency. Siv Wright's announcement appends those plans and sets up the possibility of a high-stakes runoff in the constituency against the younger Tavares Finson. This would send the JLP machinery into yet another runoff to select a caretaker months before a general election. The constituencies of South Manchester, Northwest Clarendon and Western Westmoreland all held candidate selection contests in recent weeks. Siv Wright, who has served in JLP politics for the last 22 years, was recently elevated to the Senate and made Junior Minister of Tourism. He previously served as Senior Strategist in the Tourism Ministry. Political observers had questioned whether his elevation was in an effort to avoid a runoff in North Central St. Andrew. Siv Wright ended his announcement by making clear what he says is his regard for Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He said, quote, "The journey is not about seeking a position, but about partnership, unity, and delivering meaningful results for the people. I thank you all for your continued belief and encouragement. Let's keep moving forward together, focused, united, and ready to do the work." End quote. Dana Davey for Nationwide at 5.
Thank you, Dana. And we're now going to be looking at this matter of these last-minute candidate selections for the Jamaica Labour Party. Will it hurt their chances when they face electorate? For that discussion, we're being joined by public commentator and founder and executive director of Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment, Jade Limited. That's Jermaine Barrett. Good afternoon, Mr. Barrett.
Good afternoon to you both, gentlemen. Good afternoon to your listeners as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Barrett.
It's good to hear from you. So, Mr. Barrett, as you've heard it, this seat still not settled. We are most likely going to go into a very contentious runoff. What does this spell for the Jamaica Labour Party going into an election not too far off?
Well, it's reasonable that persons would be concerned that at this late stage we're having, Delano Siv Wright putting his hat in the ring, if you will. Elections are in the air. Persons are anxious that at any moment, very soon, likely, we should hear the announcement as to when it is that we will go to the polls. And so the real concern is with candidate selection not yet concluded for all 63 constituencies on the JLP side. When it is that is done, between then and the time when we go to the elections, there is not going to be a lot of time for the constituents to become familiarized, acquainted with the candidates on the JLP side. And so one wonders whether or not this is not going to be potentially deleterious to the chances of the Jamaica Labour Party. That said, as it pertains to Delano Siv Wright, he's a national brand. He has name recognition. And in the politics that we conduct here in Jamaica, that matters quite a lot. So one way is to see how it all unfolds.
I'm wondering, I'm going to refer to it as Carl Samuda's seat because this is what we're talking about, is Carl Samuda's seat. Is the essential concern then not that much relevant because there's no expectation that this seat, unless something dramatic happens, could potentially swing to the People's National Party, hence there doesn't seem to be any urgency?
Well, absolutely. It is definitely a safe Jamaica Labour Party seat, and so there is not a huge amount of concerns there. And to add Delano Siv Wright to the slate of candidates, campaigning for the Jamaica Labour Party heading into the general election, certainly is a plus. He's a shrewd communicator, and effective. He has been effective in the Ministry of Tourism, and certainly is now also a senator, where he really, has, well, albeit he became a senator fairly late, so he hasn't done much there. But I've known him for some time, and I know him to be quite an astute young man or middle-aged man, if I may borrow Tyrone wording there. Yes, and so he, albeit Tyrone might be a little older than he is, I would contend.
Dear.
So the expectation is that there's nothing much here in relation to this specific seat, but broadly speaking, it is a little bit, it's a bit of a cause for raising eyebrows, wondering why is it that these matters have not yet been settled, such that in all of the constituencies, the electioneering can be in full sway.
We're almost upon our first break, but might I detain you a bit on that last point there, Mr. Barrett? Is it entirely unreasonable that well-thinking Jamaicans looking on saying it is entirely within the remit of the JLP to call the elections within the confines of what is allowed by the Constitution? Should they have their house in order already at this particular time, seeing that they are in government? Is it unreasonable for someone to be looking on and saying this doesn't look good? Is that a reasonable position to take?
Mr. Barrett, hold that thought. We're up on the break, Tyrone.
Right,
so
no
that
All right.
please.
When we come back.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken.
Burrata! Buy a 3-piece hat-trick meal and get an extra piece free for a limited time only is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Stop buying expensive toner cartridges. Global Ink is now selling new factory direct generic toners. Remove factory seals, install and print. Engineered to work first time, every time. Certified for use in HP and Brother printers. Worry-free, affordable printing for your peace of mind. Money saved is money earned. We deliver island-wide. 754-7444 or 1-888-NEED INK. Never run out of toner again. Global Ink.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about our trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, downtown, and also available at the SMS store, 12 Ruth Venner Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Already have a T-tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. Here's a pro tip. If you keep forgetting to add funds to your T-tag, you can use the auto top-up feature in the My T-tag app. You can set it to automatically top up your T-tag at a specific time each day, week, or month. Or you can set it to automatically top up your T-tag when your account balance goes below any value you choose. Top up your T-tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking politics. The seat of North Central St. Andrew looks like it's heading for a contentious runoff between Christian Tavares Vinson and Senator... Remind me of that name, Delano Seawright, yes, over Carl Samuda's very, very strong JLP seat, or more accurately say, a strong Carl Samuda seat, because he is running for both the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, and it is definitely one that the Jamaica Labour Party is hoping and, well, should reasonably expect to hold on to come the next general election, but still concerns as to why so late in the game are we still having these contentions and these concerns when this is the party in power. You were asking that question to Mr. Barrett. Go ahead.
Yeah, is it reasonable, Mr. Barrett? And I'm trying to put you on the spot, Mr. Barrett. Hopefully, you've discerned that. Is it reasonable for well-thinking Jamaicans to look on and say the government should already, the governing party that it should already have its house in order at this time?
Yes, I think that is a reasonable consideration at this time that, we are again in election mode. It is reasonable to anticipate, to have expected that all the candidates would have been settled in their positions and are aggressively trying to woo the people over to their respective sides. But I want, gentlemen, for you to also consider something. You pointed out in your sort of assessment of the seat that it really is Carl Samuda's seat, yes? Carl Samuda has won it for either of the two political parties at some point in the past. And so with the electioneering and the campaigning being as intense as it is and being as competitive as it is, I would contend that Delano Seawright in the seat may very well grant the Jamaica Labour Party a better opportunity to take the seat for the third term, under Andrew Holness's leadership overall as Prime Minister, than would be for Mr. Tavares. Because of the fact, I would contend that Delano Seawright is a far more of a brand name within the Jamaican political system. I don't know much about young Tavares Simpson, rather. I might be doing a disservice to the name here. But I definitely know Delano Seawright to be quite an astute campaigner in politics. Albeit, I think it's something to watch still because of the closeness of the national polls, and I think we're going to see some unexpected results the next election with respect to seats that we would contend have historically gone for one party or the other, specifically this seat, wherein we've seen it being anchored for over 45 years by Carl Samuda, campaigning and representing either of the two political parties.
If I may,
as one would believe, yes.
If I may bowl a follow-up to that, Mr. Barrett, the flip side, and we want to get to the fact that Susan Senior, councillor in the Norfolk division within the North Central Senatorial constituency that we're discussing, should have been here with us, but she's not able to be with us. But the flip side to this, Mr. Barrett, is a runoff here. Does it help or hurt the JP's chances? It gives them an opportunity for the candidates to get on the ground, to do some kind of campaigning, intense campaigning inside the constituency. Does that help or hurt the JP's chances?
I think it does galvanize interest in the candidature of the contending candidates. Yes, it certainly does, because the candidates definitely start beating the pavement and moving around and start to mobilize and galvanize support for their interests. But on the other hand, it also does quite a significant amount of disruption to the sort of harmony within the party infrastructure within the constituencies, because you would recognize that after each of these elections, or these internal elections, if you will, there has to be a great effort towards unifying the party, the party sort of base, if you will, within the constituency. And it is going to be dependent on sometimes, oftentimes, and particularly more than at any point in the past when you'd have had these runoffs being had earlier on. It's going to be reliant on the party machinery coming out in full support of the winning candidate. Otherwise, the candidate that loses may very well be a source of discontent within the Jamaica Labour Party base within the constituency. And you can't afford that. And a part of the concern, certainly in my mind, and I think most Jamaicans who are looking on, is will the party have enough time to unify the party so as to extend its leverage into the PNP's base within the constituency? And so you need time to do that kind of healing, unification, so as to bring everybody back onto the same wavelength and ultimately to move towards victory.
And I'm happy you brought that up, Mr. Barrett, because in the interest of the 5 seats that were outstanding, most have been settled now to some degree or the other as of February. You had J.C. Hutchison's seat, Carl Samuda's, Audley Shaw, Mike Henry. These are not strangers to politics. These are senior gentlemen who we were aware were in the departure lounge for quite a while. Why is it now that we're coming down to the wire that these individuals have not essentially said, go ahead. You may pass the baton, so to speak.
Well, your guess is as good as mine. I can only opine, and my assessment may very well be incorrect. But there is a feeling on the ground that preceding this current era, this current period within which we are, a few months ago, the party was inundated with concerns and lambasting about the Integrity Commission report having to do with the Prime Minister and so forth. So it might have been at that time the various candidates who have now decided to let go were holding on to see if their largesse would be necessary to help the Prime Minister go over the line, or whether or not it is safe for them to let go and allow a newcomer to come in and to be the flag bearer, if you will, for the party. So I think that might have very well been the reason. Otherwise, I don't see why it is that they wouldn't have let go earlier and allow for a smooth transition, allow for the dust to settle and for the unification to take place.
But wasn't there some reportage as well, Sir Siobhan and Mr. Barrett, that the JLP had made an announcement on a number of these veterans departing, and a couple of them, I gather, took exception to the fact that an announcement was made and suggested that they were not consulted before that announcement was made. There was, in fact, reports of that nature, Siobhan, if I'm remembering correctly.
I remember that in the specific instant case of Carl Samuda, yes, there was a bit of backlash on his part when the announcement was made prior to him making the announcement himself about him stepping aside.
Right, and the truth is, politicians don't very often know when to walk away. It's one of those things that we see the world over. But going by a report we saw I gather this is from the Jamaica Gleaner, our producer tells me, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, that the reportage from the Gleaner is that the Jamaica Labour Party councillor, Susan Senior, has cautioned against using family ties to determine who should succeed veteran Member of Parliament Carl Samuda in St. Andrew North Central. And this is a quote that is attributed to Councillor Senior. I'm in full support of Delano Seavright, she declared. He is fitting for the job. He has displayed dedication, commitment, loyalty as a caring and kind person, the report says. Her remarks intensified the internal debate within the JLP over Samuda's successor. Seavright's main rival is believed to be attorney Christian Tavares Finson, son of Senate President and JLP stalwart Tom Tavares Finson, who previously lost to Samuda in 1993, when the latter ran for the seat on a People's National Party ticket. A JLP insider reports, the Gleaner says, Seavright's sudden announcement may have been a strategic move to preempt a planned Easter announcement by party leadership favoring Tavares Finson and possibly force a delegate vote. Another quote says, an announcement appeared imminent from the party leadership, said the insider, citing intensified campaigning activities for Tavares Finson. Senior supported Seavright's assertion that his candidacy is about partnership, not entitlement, and rejected family connections or privilege. Of course, the article goes on there, but one of our YouTubers pointing out, Siobhan and Mr. Barrett, that the name Tavares Finson is also a brand, a national brand. Father is the president of the Senate, and the name Tavares Finson goes back with the JLP decades. So this should be quite the battle, Mr. Barrett.
Yes, certainly it is. I mean, I'm not saying that his name doesn't have recognition. I'm saying he as an individual is a relatively unknown entity, yes, relative to Delano Seavright, who's been in the politics for quite some time. I don't know of him, Tavares Finson, the son, having been actively involved in politics for certainly as long as Delano Seavright has been.
I want you to weigh in, Mr. Barr, because one of the lines in that comment from Susan Senior on Gleaner is that the JLP is not Mr. Chin's shop. She says she's cautioned against using family ties to determine who should succeed veteran Member of Parliament Carl Samuda. What do you make of that caution statement?
Well, I think it's a reasonably and appropriate comment and statement to make at this time, except so people will make their choices based on whatever they deem to be appropriate. I suspect in the main, people will make their decision based on the candidate that they think affords them the best opportunity at the polls, one, and two, the candidate that they consider provides the best option for the development of the constituency. I would hope that is, by and large, the more significant consideration by the delegates of the Jamaica Labour Party.
Strong.
One will never really know. When you go to select a candidate, you go to the ballot to make your choices. Only you and God Almighty knows.
Strong words, Siobhan, as you rightly pointed out, and that statement is definite, but it could point out in a lot of directions. She said there's a lot of people in politics that when they get a seat, they think that when the time comes for them to move on, their son or their daughter or grandson should take over. It's not a family business place. Strong words there from the councillor.
Yeah. I think as well, this does bring to my mind the conversation that is important about term limits for members of parliament and, the legislature, the executive at large, prime minister even, because there's a potential, and we see it ever so often in our politics here in Jamaica, where people become entrenched in these sort of political enclaves where they feel like, it's their domain, and they stay as long as they want. In the public service, in the private sector, you have retirement ages, but you don't have any such thing in the politics at all. So I think that brings to the fore a need for a conversation about things like term limits and so forth.
But I wonder, Mr. Barrett, because is it fair, though, to say that considering the legacy of a gentleman like Carl Samuda in that particular seat, should his view, so to speak, in terms of who should succeed and be respected to a point? I understand there is a democratic process, and if someone so interested wants to join the fray, as in the rules of the Jamaica Labour Party's constitution, they should have that potential right. But shouldn't that legacy be respected?
Listen, I see Carl Samuda's role now as being an endorser of the candidate of his choice. I mean, clearly he'd want to support somebody who best embodies his legacy and what he would envision needs to be done for the constituency. And it is absolutely his prerogative to support whomever he wants to. As it relates to the delegates who will be voting in the election, in this runoff, it is for them to decide what messaging appeals best to them. You see, I don't really get caught up in this business of telling people the basis for them to vote or not to vote or so forth. I think people ought to be allowed to make their determinations in what they deem to be, or rather in tandem with what they deem to be best, because there's a sense of almost saying, top-down messaging that I don't think is appropriate. I think the ideas, the contending views, the contrasting ideas must contend, and within all of that kind of messy politics and the cut and thrust of the democracy, people make their choices, and the choices will reflect, the outcome rather will reflect in the majority of views of people.
That's Jermaine Barrett. He is the founder and executive director of the Jamaican Association for Debating and Empowerment, JADE Limited. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Barrett. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. Thank you.
You're welcome. Goodbye. All the best.
The headlines are upon us.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
3 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Environment Minister Matthew Samuda has invited the coalition of 34 groups and individuals to a meeting at Jamaica House to discuss their environmental concerns. This follows a joint statement on Tuesday in which the group chided the government for its management of the environment. They alleged that political administrations were guilty of pursuing economic growth and infrastructure development at the expense of environmental sustainability. The meeting is scheduled to take place on Tuesday, May 13 at 10 a.m. Samuda says his ministry will deal with the issues outlined by the parties in their statement. Meanwhile, Minister Samuda says the government would have to change aspects of the Access to Information Act in order to facilitate the ratification of the Escazú Agreement.
The primary issue with the Escazú Agreement is not related to any environmental law. It's actually related to the ATI Act. It requires persons to provide information on environmental questions within 15 days. Our current ATI Act is for 30 days. We have a resource constraint that affects everything from crime and economy and all the other issues that are front and center, sticking to the 30 days. So shifting a law to say that you will move to 15 days where you have no capacity to deliver within 15 days is not a front to transparency. It is an acknowledgement and an honest acknowledgement that you simply don't have the resources to stick to 15 days in terms of putting out the information.
The Escazú Agreement guarantees access to environmental information, promotes public participation in environmental decision-making, and ensures access to justice in environmental matters. Jamaica signed the agreement in 2019. However, without ratification, the protection provided by the treaty cannot be accessed by citizens. Minister Samuda says the government has committed to releasing environment-related information on its official website. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon says artificial intelligence AI is now being tested in schools.
The Minister of Education, we are testing AI tools in school to support teachers with marking and administrative tasks. I remember when I was a teacher, I hated to mark. It was the worst part. Setting the tests all right. Teaching was all right. But marking the papers was not fun. And so we have AI technology that we're testing in schools now to have the AI mark the papers so that the teachers can spend more time doing what is really important, which is interacting with our students. So this is freeing up valuable time so teachers can focus on what's the important things.
Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, Minister of Education. The Bank of Jamaica has reopened 3 bonds totaling $35 billion with the purpose of financing the government's budgetary requirements. The 3 instruments were announced by the central bank on their website last week. The largest bond is valued at $18 billion with a fixed interest rate of 11.9% per annum. The second instrument, valued at $12 million, has an interest yield of 7.5% per annum. And the third bond is valued at $5 billion with a fixed interest rate of 8.25% per annum. All 3 instruments have a subscription date of Friday, April 25, 2025. The settlement date is set for Tuesday, April 29, 2025. The minimum bid amount is $1,000. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says a recent report by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, validates his administration's push to achieve economic stability. He was reacting to comments by the IMF's Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, that smaller economies will be most at risk due to growing instability in global trade.
In her presentation, she said that when these major changes are happening globally, it is the small countries that are impacted the most. Jamaica has been this way before. In the 70s, there was a global move to increase oil prices, and that led to massive economic dislocations in Jamaica, precipitated a debt crisis for Jamaica. And the truth is that the impact from the 70s and the 80s followed us through to now.
Dr. Holness says under his leadership, Jamaica is better prepared to cushion the impact of any global economic disruption.
She said a lot of the vulnerability of small countries is because they are highly indebted or are facing climbing debt. Today, Jamaica is still relatively indebted, not highly, but the difference is we have policies in place that are driving down our debt, even in the face of crisis. Even when there are politicians who would say, ignore reducing the debt, spend now. We have not done that. We have remained committed to driving down the debt so that when the global shocks occur, Jamaica will be able to withstand those global shocks.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, is demanding the resignation of the chairman of the Southeast Regional Health Authority, Sarah Wentworth Charles, over the $31 million purchase of a single neuro drill. The drill was purchased for the Bustamante Hospital for Children. Dr. Dawes is calling for full accountability from both the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Sarah about the purchase.
Sarah's purchase of a single neuro drill at double the reasonable cost is indefensible. While our hospitals crumble, this reckless spending exposes a broken system. I met with Sarah's leadership and their answers were alarming. Doctors were forced to choose between a $30 million drill or a $50 million drill, neither a fair price. The procurement process failed them. No competitive bids, no transparency, no proof this was in Jamaica's best option. This is not just waste. It is either gross incompetence or highly technical corruption. Meanwhile, Sarah's chairman silences critics instead of fixing the crisis. I call for Wentworth Charles' immediate resignation.
Dr. Alfred Dawes, opposition spokesman on health. But Mr. Charles has defended the $31 million purchase of the neuro drill. In a statement on Wednesday, he insists that the procurement followed all government guidelines, involved competitive bidding, and was approved by neurosurgical experts and the Public Procurement Commission. Mr. Charles says a meeting was held earlier today with Dr. Dawes, in which the opposition spokesman on health was presented documentation to support the legitimacy and necessity of the acquisition. Mr. Charles rejected any claims of corruption. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
JUTC finally arrived in St. Mary. Well done, JUTC.
The seats are very comfortable and it has Wi-Fi and AC.
Driver, the ride was nice, the AC was nice. I love the ride, I will always look out for you.
Thank you for traveling with me, and I will definitely look out for you the next time. Welcome to JTC on the 52B, from Alpha Tree to Toms River.
The following is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Are you ready for something mega?
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT, drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels 2 promotion, April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Grace, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst. Choose Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart, best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Taxi drivers, are you ready to earn more? Join Amber on Time and keep 100% of your fares in the first month. No commission, no catch. Plus, in your second month, we'll install a free vehicle tracker to help keep you and your car safe. Stolen vehicle recovery and panic button response are also on us. And guess what? On May 3rd and 4th, come to 13 Haining Road. Snacks and drinks are on us. Come link up, ask questions, sign up on the spot, and level up with Amber on Time, Jamaica's taxi app built just for you.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. Wayne Walker. Now, Grace Headley Cup champion St. Elizabeth Technical are in command at close on the opening day of the Issa Sporting Cup playoff against urban area Grace champions Excelsior High at Stets. Excelsior were bowled out for 127 with Demarius caught 34 and Jamari Daly 27 making most runs. As Kevon Brown, he claimed the 3 for 31. Delantes caught 2 for 17, and Adrian Silveira 2 for 30. At close, Tets were 110 for 4. After 40 overs, Tyreek Bryan is unbeaten on 67. With him is Brown, that's Kevon. He's unbeaten on 20. Nikolai McKenzie has so far taken a 3 for 24, bowling for Excelsior. Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies batting star Nicholas Pooran has been named the 2024 Wisden T20 Cricketer of the Year. Pooran had a record-breaking year, averaging over 40 with the bat while blasting 2,331 runs, many of those coming from mighty sixes. The previous record was 2,036 runs scored by Pakistan's Mohammad Rizwan in 2021. Pooran has been sensational in franchise leagues around the world and also was in stellar form when playing for the West Indies. He became the West Indies top T20 run scorer in June 2024, surpassing Chris Gayle. Pooran also struck the most sixes in a calendar year in T20 games. He scored 139 maximums, and he beat the record of Gayle, who made 135 sixes in 2015. Jamaica ended the 2025 West Indies Rising Stars Under-15 cricket competition on a winning note on Wednesday after beating the Windward Islands by 10 wickets in their final round game at the Sir Vivian Richards ground in St. John. The Jamaicans needed just 26 overs to dismiss the Windwards for 86, with only Jamie Wickham, 42, making an impression against Andrew Lloyd, 4 for 25, and 2 wickets each from Ikoni Robinson, Raheem Livingston, and Wayne Plummer. Wicketkeeper Luwayne Price, 32, and Rajay Magishi, 30, then shared in an undefeated 87-run opening stand to steer Jamaica to their victory in just 12 overs. In the meantime, Barbados retained their title. They beat Guyana by 49 runs at the Coolidge ground to end the tournament unbeaten. Seth Smith top scored for Barbados. He got 47 in their 209 for 8 in 50 overs. Guyana were then dismissed for 160 in 46 overs as Brandon Henry, he cracked an even 50. Trinidad and Tobago also registered a swift victory. They beat the Leeward Islands by 6 wickets at the Antigua Recreation Ground. The 2026 Carifta Games could be heading to Grenada after Guyana withdrew as hosts. The 53rd staging of the Games was thrown into limbo when Guyana announced they no longer had an interest in hosting the 3-day meet. However, even before the 2025 staging came to an end in Trinidad and Tobago on Monday, Grenada signaled its intention to take on hosting duties via a statement of submission which was expressed at the Carifta Congress. It's important to know that there are established processes and parameters that must be followed and met before any official confirmation can be granted by the Regional Track and Field Governing Body, NACAC. This includes a detailed bid document inclusive of the commitment of stakeholders. On April 2, 2024, a Kaitier News report in Guyana stated that the Athletics Association of Guyana had expressed interest in hosting the Carifta Games in 2026, as revealed by Michael Sands, president of NACAC. But the bids were open in 2023 for the hosting of the next 3 games. Grenada got the 2024 rights, Trinidad and Tobago this year, and Barbados, they were scheduled for next year. However, they withdrew their bid offer due to facility readiness issues, prompting a reopening of bids. 3-time Olympic 1500 meters champion Faith Kipyegon is to attempt to become the first woman to run a sub-4-minute mile. The 31-year-old serial world record-breaking machine will make 3 attempts in Paris on June 26. It will not be recognized an official record because Kipyegon is likely to use a team of rotating pacemakers and technologically advanced trainers and kit from her sponsors Nike. Kipyegon set the current official women's mile world record of 4 minutes 7.64 seconds in 2023, so would need to shave off more than 7 seconds to achieve the feat. Kipyegon became the first woman to win 1500 meters gold at 3 successive Olympic Games when she finished off in Paris, and she also holds the world record over the distance. She also has 3 world 1500 meters titles, and she won 5000 meters gold at the 2023 World Championships. 5 of those gold medals were won after she gave birth to her daughter, Alaine, in 2018. Minister of Sport Olivia Grange this morning opened the Sports Summit of the Americas, taking place at the Iberostar Hotel in Montego Bay, and it's going to go from April 23 to 24. The summit sees the General Assemblies of the Ibero-American Sports Council, the Sports Council of the Americas, and the Central American Caribbean Sport Council. The Extraordinary Assembly of the South American Sport Council will also be convened. Minister Grange said the annual assemblies of these councils provide an opportunity for ministers of sport to to share best practices and matters relating to sport policy, development, and implementation. She said the Ibero-America Sport Council must be congratulated for the work that it has been doing to promote sport as a tool for development, health, inclusion, education, and gender equality amongst member countries. Minister Grange told the delegates at the summit that sport was not just a pastime. Here in Jamaica, there are some 10 ministers of sport attending the Congress. Former FIFA President Jack Warner is demanding a full retraction, apology, and compensation from former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, for statements allegedly made at a political meeting on April 16. Warner's legal team issued a pre-action protocol letter on Monday, alleging that Dr. Rowley's statements falsely accused him of being an, quote, international scam, evading justice, and having been convicted and involved in financial misconduct. According to the letter, Warner contends that the assertions are entirely untrue and defamatory, pointing out that he has never been convicted of a crime, has not avoided court proceedings, and has not lost any legal case involving the Centre of Excellence football facility in Trinidad. Warner's attorney, Anil Maraj, claimed Dr. Rowley's statement caused serious reputational harm, especially during the ongoing election campaigning. Maraj told the PNM's political leader that his remarks were particularly harmful because he was a prominent political figure with considerable influence during the heat of an election campaign. He also said the statements were broadcast publicly and remain widely accessible online. Rowley has been given 14 days to respond to the letter. If no satisfactory response is received, Warner intends to initiate legal proceedings against Dr. Rowley. And that will do it for sports. Sports next, and during the morning's news at 6.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612 to 5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Experience togetherness this Easter, embarking on a one-of-a-kind adults-only retreat in a world where swaying palms meet endless sunsets. All-inclusive indulgence awaits here at Hideaway at Royalton Blue Waters. Tap into an all-in luxury vacation experience when you book between April 1 to 30. Contact us. Dial 876-632-7401. That's 876-632-7401. Speak to your local sales agent today.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for the make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No fly performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free, and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
The future is here. Meet your new best friend, the Samsung Galaxy S25. Unlock your true potential with this powerful but sleek AI companion. The S25 has exciting features such as the enhanced AI and camera. Let's transform the future together. Ask about our trade-in, smart payment, and insurance protection plans. Get yours today at select digital stores, Crossroads, Tropical Plaza, Spanish Town, downtown, and also available at the SMS store, 12 Ruthven Road, Kingston 10. SMS Group is your gateway to technology.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart. A special good evening to our friends over on YouTube. We invite you to also weigh in live in the comments on today's Public Opinion. So, today we are going to talk about the environment, and you're going to talk to me about your perception of politics and the environment. Let me explain my case. Increases in the island's forest cover and areas under protected status are a direct indication of the commitment of the Andrew Holness administration to environmental management. These are some of the arguments that were put forward by Minister with responsibility for the environment, Matthew Samuda, in response to criticisms by a coalition of environment NGOs. In a joint statement on Tuesday, 34 civil society organizations and individuals urged political leaders to take environmental concerns more seriously in their campaigns. The group alleged that the political administrations were guilty of pursuing economic growth and infrastructure development at the expense of environmental sustainability. But Minister Samuda says nothing could be further from the truth. He was speaking on Nationwide this morning, earlier on Wednesday.
It is this administration that has moved Jamaica from about 13% of its landmass being protected to 25% of its landmass being protected. It's this administration that has led in varying fora globally on climate finance and other issues, including our Prime Minister being called on by the UN Secretary General to lead the Climate Finance Task Force to raise $100 billion to assist developing nations with President Macron of France and the America of Qatar. Our record is very strong.
That's Matthew Samuda, Minister with Responsibility for the Environment. So in public opinion this evening, we are asking you, the public, do politicians take environmental issues seriously? That's today's public opinion. Do I start off with the YouTubers this time? I've never done that before, but I'm going to give you guys some time to answer the question. But we're going to check over on Facebook first to see what folks are saying over there. How seriously do they think politicians take the environment? And I notice we said politicians, not government, not opposition, but politicians in general. How seriously do they take the environment? Well, we're about to find out. We go to Facebook, and on Facebook, Shines for Life Law says the PNP doesn't, the JLP does. Cheryl Griffith says, of course, JLP politicians do, especially since we've been getting more severe weather. Philip Jackson says, well, from the PM who spoke about it on public forums and the fact that he's the leader of the country, I think it is very clear that he's leading the charge on climate change. However, climate change is more man-made than natural realities. A big part of our selfishness, cause and effect. Carlington Bartley says, this JLP administration track record suggests that they do. That move to scrap the development PNP signed off on Goat Island to make Goat Island into a transshipment port and industrial park. Audley Phillips says, while some do, many others prioritize economic and other factors over environmental concerns. There is clearly a mixed picture of political action and environmental issues. Sean Major Campbell. Hello, Sean Major Campbell. Welcome. He says, sadly, politicians, generally speaking, tend to go where the voting wind blows. The seriousness required is often lacking. This is why we, the people, should educate ourselves so that we let our political servants know that we care about environmental concerns. Edney Powell says it's a simple choice, employment or environment, and we follow the environmentalists in Jamaica. No development or nothing is done. Natalie Winter says, yes, to an extent, some of them do care about the environment and climate change. So that's what we have over on Facebook. But if we go over to Instagram, will it be different? Will it be more of the same? Let's find out. So when asked, do politicians take environmental issues seriously, we got a couple comments over here. We'll start with Boss Lady. Boss Lady 3873 says, the current government does take the environment serious. Will Ryan Wilson says, for the most part, no. Thankfully, we have a PM who takes environmental issues seriously. He just needs to be more proactive in how he responds to them. So those are the comments we got over on Instagram. But if we go over to X, will we get anything different or will we get more of the same? Do politicians, do Jamaican politicians, which is implied, do they take the environment and its issues seriously? If we go over on X, someone says no. All right, so let's go over to the YouTubers now. What are the YouTubers saying? So if I scroll through, I will see one Tyrell Thompson that says, the JLP take everything seriously. Under Andrew Holness, everything is seriously. All right, man. We keep going on. Chlorophyll says the JLP politicians do. Yes. What else we have here? Herman Hyatt says, why not ask if everyone should take environmental issues seriously? Well, Because that would be a resounding yes. Surely that would be a resounding yes, Herman. Everyone should take the environment seriously, but do we actually? It's not a matter of should we. It's a matter of do we? Do we take the environment seriously enough? Does the environment reflect how seriously we've taken it? Because if it does, it means we haven't been. Yeah, climate change it's going up, man. See, Mikkel just said it. No. Have they been following the climate changes? The Paris Accord to reduce carbon emissions? Okay. Mercedes Morgan says, yes, my government has been taking climate change seriously. Carlene Smith says, moderate appreciation, Mahiri. I don't see the deliberate acts to say that they do. The PM does a good talk, but it doesn't translate to policy. It will not be taken seriously until the people do. Good evening, Jacqueline Thomas. Welcome to Pub Up. Do you think politicians take the environment seriously? That's the question. Carol says, they only remember about environmental concerns when there's money involved. That's Carol. Herman says, not necessarily, Mahiri. Not at all. Okay. All right. What's this? Reggae-matic says, well, fair enough. They had the chance and they did right, but the electorate has to decide. I'm going to assume this is in response to public opinion. But yes, do politicians take the environment seriously? Someone's saying we should have been asking if everyone takes the environment seriously. This is in relation to the story we carried, but that's also a fair question to ask. Do we, as people, the everyday man and woman, do we take the environment seriously enough? Everall McDonald says, no, they don't. That's in relation to politicians. Everall McDonald says, politicians do not take the environment seriously, but Marjorie G says the JLP does take it serious. Strong Link says the plastic ban was not a serious step. He says that in question, I guess. David Nabar says the JLP is the only government to take the environment seriously. Reposing Rain Sounds Plus says at times they do if it's going to benefit them. We keep going. How seriously do Jamaican politicians take the environment? Is it very seriously? Is it not that serious? Is there room for improvement? Is it kind of, but not really? Let me see what's going through you guys' minds right now. Mikkel says littering at the river, ETC, SMH. I guess that's a criticism of us. Yeah? You seeing people littering at rivers? Which rivers? That seems like a case for Minister Samuda to take on, yeah? Littering at rivers, you don't want to see that. We keep going through. How many more answers can I get before we get out of here? Herman. I'm still going back to this Herman question, man, because she's like, listen, do we take environmental issues? And it ties back to some other answers I was seeing, because some people are saying, listen, man, Sean Major Campbell said it. He's like, listen, people campaign based on where the voting wind blows. So if environmental issues aren't that big a deal to the average person that's going to vote for these people to get into power, whether it's JLP or PNP, then people probably aren't going to well, I shouldn't say probably aren't. They're more than likely not going to use that as a strong campaigning point. And the question is, if we make it a strong campaigning point, will we see a change? And that's to those people that say that the politicians do not speak enough on environmental issues. Is that something that can only change through you, the people? Or is it the politicians that need to change and take it more importantly? Or is it both? Do we both need to take it more seriously? It's up to y'all, man. It's up to us. It's our world. It's our environment. We live in it. We're going to suffer the consequences if it's not taken care of properly. But it's a very interesting discussion we're having here. Herman is back. She says recycling should be more mandatory. More mandatory. So Herman wants to see more policing of people that, I guess, throw away plastic bottles. Maybe she's calling for a better separation from the plastics and the other type of garbage. She's probably not seeing enough of that in her daily life. Maybe that's what she's calling for. What's going on here? Grace Ben says the question shouldn't have been asked about the government. We, the people, are destroying the environment. David Nabar says it's everyone's job to take the environment seriously. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to, you know. I think that's what this conversation is really boiling down to. Yeah. Stronglink says garbage in the gullies, Jamaicans wake up. It's not up to politicians alone. And that's a very important point to end on. This is such a bigger issue than just politicians. And I think all of the answers we've been seeing on YouTube are reflecting that it's more than just politicians that need to take environmental issues more seriously. It is up to us as people that live in the same environment that need to also take the environment seriously. But there we go, folks. Another good pub up. Nice one. It's been a while since I've done public opinion. But this one was very nice, very informative. Nice to get the ideas out there and about for us to discuss. Thank you as always for participating. Now it's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline effective Thursday, April 24. That's according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. Both grades of gasoline, 90 octane and 87 octane, will go up by $1.88 per liter. Automotive diesel fuel will see an increase by 25 cents and ultra-low sulfur diesel will go up by 98 cents per liter. Kerosene is down by $1.27 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will go up by $1.85 per liter and butane liquid petroleum will go down by 86 cents per liter. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has signaled the UK could lower tariffs on US car imports as she tries to broker a trade deal with the Trump administration. Reeves said she wants to see tariff and non-tariff barriers reduced between the UK and the US. The UK is seeking to lower trade taxes imposed by President Donald Trump of 25% for cars, steel and aluminum and 10% on other British exports. One of the sticking points for a trade deal in the past has been food standards, but Reeves said the UK would not be reducing these. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 6 cents to buy $1 US. It cost 211 Jamaican dollars and 30 cents to buy £1 British pound and 114 Jamaican dollars and 69 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Good evening.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Chakama, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left yard, sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No fly performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills?
Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tie to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss.
Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Tune in to CliffViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. Beats and Brands Live is the ultimate celebration of music, creativity, and innovation. This exciting event is part of Intellectual Property Week and brings together the vibrant worlds of business and entertainment under the theme IP and Music, Feel the Beat. Expect a mini expo, live concert, giveaways, and the official opening ceremony, all for free. Vibe with artists, entrepreneurs, and industry insiders powered by Jaipo in partnership with Jaria and other creative powerhouses. Don't miss this fusion of culture, creativity, and commerce. It's where beats meet brands. So tune in to CliffViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Nationwide 90 FM now presents a rebroadcast of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's address from the commissioning of the Parnassus irrigation system and the launch of the Parnassus Agri Park. This is brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
I do have a passion for agriculture. My father is currently a farmer, a struggling farmer. I spent many summers on his farm, and so I have a deep appreciation for the struggles that farmers go through. Weather, finance, and of course, this very strange thing we call predial larceny. I have searched for this in other countries and I can't seem to find it. It is a Jamaican affliction. 2-foot puss. So I was very pleased as I entered the facility when I spoke with the senior superintendent in charge of the parish, who told me of the amazing reduction in murders and violent crimes, over a 49% reduction since the beginning of the year. I offered my commendations to the police team. They have done an amazing job. But I commend you, the citizens of the parish, because your own cooperation is also important in the reduction of violence. And I encourage you to continue to cooperate with the strategies and policies of the government and with the tactics of the police in reducing these murders. But your cooperation is going to be needed even more, because the police pointed out that they do have a strategy to deal with predial larceny in the area, and that strategy relies heavily on the cooperation of the farmers and the citizens generally, so that we can finally put an end to those 2-foot puss. Minister Green, thank you for bigging up everybody, but I must big up our British High Commissioner. When David Cameron was the Prime Minister, he visited Jamaica sometime in 2015, and he launched the Caribbean Investment Fund. You see how long ago that was? I was then leader of the opposition. I had an opportunity to meet him, and this was part of the discussion. So I'm very happy today, in 2025, 10 years after, to be able to turn over to the farmers of Clarendon this agro-park. Jamaica has about 40% of its landmass which could be considered arable, meaning you can farm it. Of that, presently, only about 15% would be irrigated. 15%. With this and Essex Valley, the Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project, SPAD it is called, we will probably get close to 20% of our arable lands irrigated. That's still not enough. I want you to consider what that means. It means that you can only exercise some degree of control over your agriculture in only 15% of your arable land. The rest of your lands would be subject to the vicissitudes, the change in weather. So the output, the productivity that you would like to get would be subject to climate change issues, weather issues, and that's not good for sustained agriculture. And so the strategy of the government, which is why when we were asked, what would you like the support that is coming from the Caribbean Infrastructure Fund to be deployed into? We said, let's put it into making our agriculture resilient and sustainable. Let's build infrastructure that mitigates climate, weather, and other factors. And so that is what we're doing here today. This is a big thing. Now, we have another big project that is being worked on. Minister Green pointed out that the last time the Minister of Agriculture did anything of this magnitude, which would be Spring Plains, he wasn't born yet. Well, to give you a sense of the generations I was. But even before I was born, the politician after whom I was named, Michael Manley, had the idea, he posited the idea, of harnessing the water from the Black River to irrigate the Pedro Plains. That was 50 odd years ago. It wasn't done. I'm pleased to say that we are well on our way to doing it. And when we do Pedro Plains, which is well on its way, we would have moved our irrigated lands to being about 50% of our arable lands. Can you imagine the fundamental shift in our agricultural productivity when we are able to mitigate and control for weather impacts on our arable land? That's fundamental. But this is not the kind of achievement that voters celebrate, unfortunately. A lot of it is voters don't know this, some don't understand it. But the farmers who have been practicing mulching for decades in southern St. Elizabeth, because that is how they mitigated the weather effect, when they now have reliable water that is coming from pipes and irrigation systems that they can plan in advance, they will see the transformation. And what the average voter will see is far more foodstuff in their supermarket shelves and in the Coronation Market and in Linstead Market and in all over. But what they will also see is a stability in price. So this will have an impact on the cost of food. So yes, you, the average voter listening to me, who say, oh, this benefit me. This not going to only benefit the little farmer them in Parnassus. No, my friend. It is these kinds of investment that benefit you. The cost of living crisis that we face, a part of it is an agriculture crisis. It is precisely because we have low productivity in agriculture why we have a food price crisis. And until our voters make that connection to inform how they vote, they will not get good agricultural policies. What they will satisfy with are easy but destructive policies that say, well, we should put a tax on imported goods, rather than seeking to address the fundamental issues, which are more difficult, which are not going to happen in one election cycle, as this did not happen in one election cycle. This started in 2019. I wonder if you see what I'm saying. That the transformation of Jamaica is not going to be this. It is not going to be stupid promises, even lovely sounding promises. And as we are in the promising season, when politicians are going to come to tell you that they will give you horses that can fly, the worry is not the politicians who are going to tell you that the horse that they are selling can fly. The worry is the voter who believes. That is the worry. And therefore, as a politician, who, yes, I will come with gifts on mules, I have to also be very frank with you and tell you what the realities are. And that has always been me. Nobody can question that. I tell you as it is. I have learned a little bit that I have to put a little sugar on it here and there. I have learned. But I am still telling you as it is. So I can stand here today and tell you, not a promise, I am delivering on a commitment, and I'm telling you what else is coming. We are now at approximately 15% irrigated lands. After this project, we will be at approximately 20%, and when we complete the Pedro Plains, which is it is going to cross the election cycle, because it's a multi-year project, but when we complete it, we would be at about 50%. And that will be a profound shift in Jamaica's agriculture. So I could very well end my presentation here, but my speechwriters would be upset. So it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the official opening of the Parnassus Agriculture Agropark, an important step forward in our ongoing mission to transform agriculture in Jamaica. Today, we not only celebrate the commissioning of critical agricultural infrastructure, but we also recognize its role in my government's pivotal, or rather my government's pivot towards inclusive, sustainable, and climate-resilient growth in rural agriculture. Today, we are planting the seeds of resilience and opportunity. This agropark represents a future where Jamaican farmers are empowered, communities are revitalized, and our country moves closer to a competitive and climate-resilient agriculture sector. Agriculture is not just a pillar of our economy, it is the foundation of our national food security. As global supply chains face increasing pressure and climate change threatens traditional productive systems, it is more important than ever that we as a country can feed ourselves. A strong agricultural sector ensures that our people have access to affordable, nutritious food, even in times of crisis. It reduces our dependence on imports, shields us from external shocks, and creates the conditions for real independence, economic and social. In a world marked by geopolitical tensions, rising energy costs, and unpredictable commodity markets, food security is now a matter of national security. But food security is also an important part of our economic policy. Food security is seen as an important part of what they would call the microeconomic policy. Agriculture, how do we get farmers onto land, get the prices stabilized, put in place infrastructure to support them? But in a sense, it is also a part of what you would describe as the kind of macroeconomic policy as well, because having a strong agricultural sector is a buffer to inflation. And I want to spend just a minute here to drive home that point. Because when the average Jamaican hears about inflation, the first thing that comes to mind is my purchasing power is going to be eaten out because the prices of goods have increased, and therefore our wage negotiations, and I'm not dealing with wage negotiations here, but immediately there would be pressure on wages to be adjusted upwards in order to compensate for the loss of purchasing power due to inflation. I want you to think back for me, all of you who are here, including those of you who were born in the 80s and 90s, that's the beginning of your world, who may not understand the tragedy that Jamaica went through in the 90s with inflation. And in the 2000s, early, the impact of inflation then. The conversation then was about the macroeconomic adjustment. So it's either you're going to increase your wages or increase your interest rates to keep your currency stable to avoid currency-induced inflation or imported inflation. But we have never had a conversation about the impact of increasing productivity on inflation. That's not a consideration in the Jamaican context. In other words, for the last 4 or 5 decades, we have not addressed the issue of productivity. So the permanent secretary uses a term, facade. He says it's a facade. The strategy of constantly trying to adjust wages to keep up with inflation is a facade. We're just tricking ourselves, keeping ourselves in a loop where we are constantly losing real value because we are not increasing our output. So what you have to see this as is an attempt to have a genuine, real increase in Jamaica's productivity, in Jamaica's output. And this is what will have a real impact on inflation. Now, granted, farmers, some of the inflation that happens in Jamaica, particularly in the past, happened because of bad government policy. Now, we have put bad government policy out of the mix by putting in place strong institutions. Independent central bank, strong fiscal structures to control government policy, and now we have inflation targeting. And so you will see that Statin released this month figures which were incredible. I think it was something like 0% inflation. In other words, meaning that government's policy is having very limited impact on inflation. So having solved that, then what would be the other drivers that could create inflation? Yes, imported inflation, and sometimes inflation induced because of supply issues. So for example, if there is bad weather and because of a drought, the output of farmers fall, what is going to happen to the price of goods in the market? It's going to go up and it's going to reflect as inflation. But if you make the hard choice that even when you're going to get costs for not doing things immediately, but you have made that long-term investment in digging the wells, in cutting the roads, in cutting the land, in getting the titles for the farmers, in building the reservoir to store the water, in buying those pumps, which take a long time, to make sure that when this comes into full operation, rain or shine, you will have a level of output that will keep prices stable. That is how you impact inflation and cost of living. This administration has changed the way in which government operates, we now need to change the way in which our electorate thinks. Because the old way of thinking is not going to solve the challenges of today and the challenges you face. So everybody says, yes, increase the minimum wage, which we have been doing gradually because we don't want an economic fallout. Everybody's quarreling about their wages and it's unfair, and I understand the issues. And we're trying our best to slowly make the adjustments so that we don't have an economic fallout. But beyond that, that is not going to be the solution for Jamaica. Beyond that, the solution has to be that each and every one of us must increase our productivity. It is in the increase in our output that the unit cost goes down and therefore the prices remain stable. How do I get the average Jamaican to appreciate that and shift the mentality to look at how do we become more productive? What this is an investment in our productivity. Every farmer who comes onto this land is immediately more productive than farmers struggling out there without water, without storage, without proper roads. And so the objective of the government, Minister Green, if he were released to tell you the discussions that we have in cabinet, he would know how much beating him get. To get these projects going, to get them out of the ground. Now, I'm not saying here I'm 100% pleased, because I do recall several conversations, even with former ministers, about why is this project taking so long? It shouldn't have taken this long. And as I look at it on reflection, this project is 2 years late. 2 years. Why? For another reason that I have said, Jamaica must address its public bureaucracy. You know, we have gotten caught into this culture of analysis paralysis. Yes. And there are those who will seek to say that you are corrupt, that you are trying to circumvent procedures. But what they are really wanting to do is to hide behind a wall of circuitous regulation that leads to nowhere. And in my mind, that is the corruption. It has no bearing on whether or not things are delivered quickly, whether or not the farmers benefit, whether or not the customer is served. No benefit to them. And we are going to destroy that. We are going to break down that wall of unnecessary bureaucracy. Things that don't make sense. Entities that have been formed and are on the public's budget year after year and can't show what they give to the public, those allocations must be questioned. There are many government entities that claim your taxes. They live only to serve themselves. When you ask them, why I have to fill out this form? Why I have to do that? Why this? They can't tell you. They just say, well, it's the law. And for those who are quick to be critical, just sit down and listen. Because Jamaica is not the only country going through this. I listened to Keir Starmer make his presentation after I made my pivot speech. And it was as if he took my pivot speech and reread it. And he made sweeping changes or will make sweeping changes, spoke about the NHS, spoke about digitization and other things. But it's not just Keir Starmer. I mean, I don't want to draw on Doge in the United States. But just up the road from us in the Dominican Republic, who would be in our peer group, they recognize this and they are moving swiftly ahead to make their bureaucracy agile. We have to rethink the dense layer of bureaucracy that we have placed on our public servants. They don't want to innovate or take any risk, lest their names be dragged mercilessly in the public domain. That is not going to help us grow. I keep saying, you know, there are those who believe that they can deal with corruption by shaming people, destroying people's reputations. But they will never speak about inefficiency. They will never examine a system for its inefficiency. And what costs us as Jamaican taxpayers is inefficiency. Oftentimes, you know, the flip side of corruption is inefficiency. And if you want to deal with corruption, deal with inefficiency. Treat with the systems that move slowly. Treat with the systems that have circuitous regulations. Because in systems that are efficient, there is no room for corruption. Because efficient systems, by definition, are transparent systems. So when we talk about addressing the bureaucracy of Jamaica, we want to make our bureaucracy transparent. We want performance to be evaluated so that you can see and match effort to outcome. So that there is no secret veil that separates someone's effort versus outcome. And that's where we have to move with dealing with bureaucracy. So this project, in my estimation, should have been at least a year and a half earlier. So our growth has been delayed. And we accept it because, you know, there's a thinking in our culture that if it didn't take long, it wasn't well done. That's very strange for the fastest people in the world. So, Kristalina Georgieva, the head of the IMF, she made a presentation recently speaking about the global challenges as a result of the emerging trade conflicts. And in her presentation, which I thought was very sobering and very thoughtful, she said that she is not expecting that there will be a recession. However, she is expecting that there will be a slowdown, and they will probably come out with revised figures for global growth. And she is also expecting that there will be some inflation, but no hyperinflation. Which is, I think, a reasonable expectation, but bear in mind that is just an outlook. It all depends on the moving parts that we cannot at this time predict where they will go. But she also said that when these major changes are happening globally, it is the small countries that are impacted the most. Small countries are impacted the most. Jamaica has been this way before. In the 70s, there was a global move to increase oil prices. Again, many of you were not born, some of you were there, but how you appreciated what was happening, you may not have had this perspective on it. But countries that control an important global resource, oil, OPEC, decided that they would come together and control, or rather increase, the price of oil internationally. And that led to massive economic dislocations in Jamaica, precipitated a debt crisis for Jamaica. How did we maneuver ourselves in that period of time? And the truth is that the impact from the 70s and the 80s followed us through to now. Are we any different today facing these global changes in international trade than we were 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when global oil prices changed? Is our economy any different? And I will say to you that the fundamental principle of this government is that Jamaica must be economically independent. Michael Manley had his own way of saying it. He said, self-reliance. It's essentially the same thing, but not necessarily always the same thing, but the same principle. We must be economically independent as a people. And how are we different today? Today, and our policies are very much aligned with what the head of the IMF has pointed out. She said that a lot of the vulnerability of small countries is because they are highly indebted or are facing climbing debt. Today, Jamaica is still relatively indebted, not highly, but the difference is we have policies in place that are driving down our debt, even in the face of crisis. Even when there are politicians who would say, ignore reducing the debt, spend now. We have not done that. We have remained committed to driving down the debt so that when the global shocks occur, which they will, Jamaica will be able to withstand those global shocks. And the impacts on you and your life will be minimized. So Jamaica is totally different today than it was 40, 50, 30, even 20 years ago. Secondly, she says that we must build infrastructure to mitigate against climate impact. And that is what we have been doing. If you look at this here, this is exactly what this agri-park is. We are building infrastructure that will mitigate the impact of climate. But she also said that we have to improve our regulatory and bureaucratic environment in order to be agile. And that is the next stage of our government's policy now, to pivot, to create the competitive advantage with our bureaucracy. And let me just quickly say why that is important. Just up the road from us, the Dominican Republic has landed a major investment, which is as a result of the change in global supply chain, because of the change in trade policies. It's a multi-billion US dollar investment into their economic free zone. Why did they choose the Dominican Republic? One, they do have labor, and there is some arbitrage in wages. Secondly, they have an established special economic zones, been there for almost 60 years, with specified incentives. We have just built ours, and we will build out the Caymanas economic zone. Thirdly, their bureaucracy is more agile and responsive to foreign investment. And so if Jamaica is to compete in its peer group, the way in which our intellectuals and some of our public opinion leaders think about our society will have to change and understand that what they held sacrosanct a decade ago does not hold today. We must be agile. We must become efficient. We must become more productive. And we must become more peaceful as a people. And that is what this administration is driving for. That is not with any sugarcoating. That is not with any beautiful speaking. That is just telling you what the realities are. So I appeal to you in this promising season. Pay attention to the global trends and consider which administration can best handle these difficult seas that the ship of Jamaica faces. Who can best carry us into safe harbor, and who has been carrying us in these difficult waters without any form of collapse, without any form of overturning, without going astray, running aground. It is this administration. And so every week, this has never happened in the history of Jamaica. Every week, I'm in the field doing this, handing over a major project, turning on a water supply, housing scheme, everything we're doing. Because we have been a working government, not a promising government. We are a working government. We are delivering to the people. And we do it bearing in mind that our development must be inclusive. You have approximately 700 acres here at Parnassus, an old sugar plantation. This was sugarcane lands. And we have allotted 400 of those 700 acres specifically for small farmers. So I don't want to hear this argument that we're leaving out small man out of development. Rubbish! Everything that we do, we think about every sector of Jamaica. So we're making sure that our small farmers are incorporated and included right here at Parnassus. And then, out of that, we have allocated certain acreages for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. This is what development looks like. So, it therefore, and I should also say that there were some persons farming here before. And we sat with them. Some of them are here. And we said to you, look, you are farmers. We love you and respect you, but we know you're not the chaka business. And I know you're not comfortable in a chaka business. You want to be properly recognized. And so they made sure to give you proper lease arrangements. Some of you went to Hart and got trained. That's how we take care of our people. Yes. So, 240 farmers were trained. Yes, so, that is what growth and development and inclusive government looks like. So all them a talk and I call up my name. Them can't get me out of the game. So my friends, it was my great pleasure being with you. You have been a wonderful audience. God bless you. Farm enough, grow enough. Choose Jamaica.
That was a rebroadcast of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's address from the commissioning of the Parnassus irrigation system and the launch of the Parnassus Agro Park. This was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
The kitchen isn't just a room. It's where life happens, where meals are made, stories are shared, and memories take shape. At Active Home Center, we help you design a kitchen that works for you. Stylish cabinets, top quality appliances, stunning countertops, sleek faucets, sinks, and cabinet bowls. Everything in one place. Sit with our experienced kitchen experts and bring your dream kitchen to life. Your dream kitchen starts here. Visit us in Kingston at 84 Constant Spring Road. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
New KFC saucy wings. Attention all wings lovers. KFC saucy wings with 2 new flavors. Mango habanero and buffalo. Spicy. KFC we have saucy wings. Delicious. Spicy the best. So a new KFC saucy wings crunch the rest. Nobody does wings like KFC. New saucy wings is for me.
New KFC saucy wings. Delicious, hot, and spicy wings tossed in savory mango habanero or buffalo sauce. Wings that will crunch the rest. New KFC saucy wings. It's finger licking good.
Mom, how are you managing?
I miss you, Father, but I have peace of mind knowing he had creditor protection.
What's that?
It's a very good plan from Scotiabank. It pays off our mortgage, auto loans, even his credit card bills so we don't inherit his debt.
Dad really loved us.
Yes, he did.
Don't leave your loved ones alone. Get creditor protection from Scotiabank. Visit us at jm.scotiabank.com today.
Get the inside scoop. Tune in to Budget Bites, a brief breakdown of the 2025 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. It's an informative snapshot of the budget and what it means for you. Don't miss Budget Bites, bite-sized insights into the Prime Minister's vision for Jamaica. Budget Bites, unpacking the budget for you.
We do not only announce, we deliver, and we are breaking ground and commissioning water supply systems almost weekly. A proper account of the extensive work undertaken in every constituency would require us to be here all night. Very important one, the Western Parishes water supply. The severe drought which affected Western Jamaica disproportionately prompted the acceleration of major capital works to replace transmission main to Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. This is a $28 billion 3-year project which will commence in May 2025 and reduce water insecurity and non-revenue water, and involves upgrading 28 kilometers of main transmission lines from St. James to Trelawney and 37.5 kilometers from Lucy to Negril. On completion, it will benefit over 250,000 residents and business customers and catalyze development in the key tourism sector. This is a game changer for water in the northwestern parishes. 6 major projects funded by the Caribbean Development Bank are being undertaken by the Rural Water Supply Limited, which will significantly improve access and transform the lives of more than 38,000 Jamaicans in rural areas of Southeast, Western St. Mary's, Southern Trelawney, Northeast St. Elizabeth, Eastern St. Thomas, and Northwest St. Anne. Currently, the Rural Water Supply Limited and the CDB are finalizing the necessary documentation for procuring design services, with the advertisement expected to be published in March 2025. We've spoken extensively about the Greater Mandeville Water Supply Project, a $2.7 billion project, which is spread over 5 years. We are midway the 5 years. And this project will reduce non-revenue water to below 50%, increase service reliability and quality, given that we are now building out new houses, new housing schemes in Mandeville and other areas. The Rio Cobre Water Plant Project, something that we have been talking about from 2009. I'm pleased to report that it is now finally in the construction phase, and we are targeting completion by the end of 2026. Others talk about it, we deliver it. Expansion of the sewer network in Kingston and St. Andrew is critical to the future development within the parish, both to facilitate greater densities and safeguard groundwater. This year, the NWC will be investing $1.4 billion into the laying of sewer lines along Monroe Road, Retreat Avenue, Seymour Avenue, and Old Hope Road. Additionally, there are two areas of deep concern which must be addressed forthwith. The first is the situation in downtown Kingston with collapsing sewer mains. An overhaul of the entire potable water, sewage, and drainage network is required for most of Central and West Kingston. I have directed Minister Samuda to ensure that the project design for this massive infrastructure is done this year. I have further directed that $450 million be immediately deployed to the worst affected areas within the Market District to provide immediate relief. The NWC has also commenced procurement of an additional HVAC truck to be stationed downtown to ensure that any blockages that emerge are immediately dealt with. The infrastructure is old. It is aging and collapsing. Decades of no investment. It is now showing. And it is this administration that is finding the economic wherewithal to deal with the maintenance of these critical infrastructure. We have now started the distribution of the Black Tank program. MPs are now collecting and distributing tanks in their constituencies. We hope that that can move very quickly to mitigate any impact of drought. In November 2024, I announced that the NWC would provide an amnesty to customers cut off from the utility for more than 6 months. The amnesty has benefited pensioners, PATH recipients, and members of the disabled community with up to 100% reprieve and up to 50% for other categories of customers. As at March 14, 2025, over 21,000 customers had engaged in the process. Total reconnections so far are 3,271, with a further 5,135 awaiting reconnection. This has yielded over $207 million in revenues collected for the NWC, and that would have been uncollectible otherwise. We have also written off over $600 million of debt from those who most need it, restoring the supply of water and returning dignity to those households. This government is helping our most vulnerable. As such, I have instructed the National Water Commission to extend the program for a further 2 months. We do this because we care about the people.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. PJ Patterson looks toward BRICS. Former Prime Minister, Pan-Africanist, and statesman, the Most Honorable PJ Patterson turned 90 a few days ago. With advancing age, the gait gets slower and the limbs get weaker. These days he moves about with the aid of a cane. And should a stair fall in his path, he needs the helping arms of some men younger than himself to ascend and descend the obstacle. Not so with his mental acuity, which remains undiminished. The PJ of today
is not much different than the PJ of yesteryear in his love for robust conversation, even debate, and his intellectual clairvoyance in seeing and warning of dangers ahead is razor sharp. Case in point, his call for Jamaica to protect its economic sovereignty by moving away from the US-dominated monetary and trade system and instead align itself with the fast-developing and increasingly powerful BRICS economic system. In a paper presented by Professor Brian Meeks at the inaugural Prime Minister's Conference commemorating the Michael Manley Centennial at the University of the West Indies, Patterson, although not physically present, was no less impactful. His thoughts and words reverberated like an earth tremor, threatening to shake the very foundation of global geopolitical arrangements and financial markets, which pretty much have relegated small non-nuclear states like Jamaica to the sideline. The prevailing mantra, there is strength in numbers. For the uninitiated, BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, is an acronym formed from the first letter of the names of its 5 founding members, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Founded in 2011, it has since expanded to include Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Egypt. By one account, an additional 34 countries have formally expressed an interest in joining. BRICS poses a counterfoil to North America, the European Union, and in particular the United States, having already achieved a hard-to-ignore presence covering 30% of the world's land space, 45% of its population, and a combined gross domestic product, GDP, of an estimated 88 trillion United States dollars. Trump, in a post on his Truth Social site, threateningly warned that, and I quote, "The idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over." End quote. This makes the call by P.J. Patterson even more courageous and significant, coming from an esteemed former leader of a country that could be considered a minnow in world economic affairs. So what exactly is the Patterson prescription? In his words, the vision is one of crafting a new economic model in which to unlock the prosperity that has eluded developing nations under the current global order. Sounds familiar? Time come, and Trump is making it easier for BRICS to succeed with his indiscriminate tariff war. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
A Campari Boulevard, Carnival Road, Mad Sunday. Time for left here, make sure no reach Campari Boulevard. No live performance, stage crossing. Come out with your crew, Campari flossing.
Join us at Campari Boulevard as we take over Emmanuel Road on Trafalgar Road like never before on April 27th, Carnival Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enjoy Campari drink specials all day. Watch revelers cross our epic Campari stage with Exodus and Yardmass. Admission free, and make sure you wear red. It's Campari Red Passion Carnival. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years old. Let's drink responsibly.
And welcome back, listeners. For the few minutes we have left to us, we will be taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Jamaica is good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, what we feel safe at night.
Oi there, I can't pick Aki off of my tree. Are you planty?
I know that. Come beat me, Cheryl, come beat me.
But she are you sweep up over here when the leaf them nasty up me yard? You know what? I cut this tongue.
Keela, Cheryl, how was that? Wanna stop the quarreling, no man? This no call for in our community. This no sound good, man.
Nobody tell me nothing. You know see how Cheryl turn bad. Me pick two little Aki off her tree off of the limb way hang down over my yard. And here she go talk about. She go cut down tree.
And that me say, so what?
No bother with no quarrel. No fight. Cheryl, no cut down the tree. Uno live good no people. Uno a big man, you know. And uno a neighbor. The picnic them a friend too. We have to set the example for the picnic them. Live good. Me a beg you no. Do.
A true you talking a good son.
Take a little Aki them Keela. Cause for real, the limb really hung over your yard. We are neighbor. Make we start live good.
Aye. A solid figure man. Live good, me say.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, what we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I better you and I.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Already have a T-tag for your vehicle? Just top it up and go through. You can now conveniently add funds to your T-tag on WhatsApp. Just save our T-tag WhatsApp number 876-355-3336 and send us a message when you want to top up. Top up your T-tag and continue to go through quicker and cheaper on Transjam highways.
Welcome back, listeners. As I said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Omalo, you're on the line. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Omalo.
Chevron, good evening, Tyro.
How you doing, man?
Listening to the Watchman a while ago, and he speak about P.J. Patterson. You know, I think P.J. Patterson should just shut him out and not say nothing about Jamaica and just continue going on his merry way home.
I don't know if you should go so hard, Omalo.
I'm sure you can choose way more respectful words as well, Omalo.
Respectful? It should be respectful to a man.
Yeah, you just said a former prime minister should shut his mouth. And someone who is several years your elder as well, as much as you may disagree with his politics.
Danger to me. I got to reprimand him real hard.
Omalo, let me read you halfway here. As a former prime minister of the country and one of the country's elder statesmen, his opinion and his views are important, but I will suggest that.
It's not important.
Let me finish, Omalo. Let me finish, Omalo. Let me finish. But it should still be tempered with the fact that he is a former prime minister and he is not the current prime minister, in so much as he should limit his attempt to steer the country in a certain direction.
I am scared of danger for this country. I am afraid of danger for this country. And I won't just sit back and be nice and respectful to even the very dangerous people that they were when they were in power. How can we, in this state of our geopolitical understanding in this world, say we are aligned in ourselves to BRICS in any way, shape, or form as to join BRICS? We should be very measured in whatever we do, knowing that 70% of our tourism and our trade and all of these things remittance come from the country that is opposing to them.
Like you, Omalo, I don't think the suggestion is a great idea, but I'm going to piggyback on a word you just used there about being measured We need to be measured in our pronouncements. We don't have to resort to disrespect to make our point, For you to come on here and suggest that a former prime minister, an elder statesman, as Siobhan has put it, to shut his mouth, if you don't consider that to be disrespectful, whether you say that of Bruce Golding or PJ Patterson or Portia Simpson-Miller, I would caution you likewise, Omalo. Be respectful, man. For people, especially, it's just this week they're having a conversation, about the disrespect that is being meted out to older people, and we've lost our way.
No,
it can't be okay for you to do that, Omalo.
Tyrone, if someone is a danger to the society, Tyrone, this man is a danger to the society. He's a danger to the society, Tyrone. Tyrone, you think that we should find words or anything meaningful? This man, all right, I'm going to...
But Omala, aren't we arguing a point that is pointless to argue? Because the government has made it quite clear that they have no such intention. So I don't... Why are we going down the wicket?
We have to address him. He's talking. And he's talking.
And the government did address this and said that that is his view. They've not said that they're going anywhere in that direction.
But we're not supposed to put these dangerous views out there. Just like you said, this man is a man, a former statesman, a former prime minister. His words are powerful. A powerful man must be measured in what they're saying.
And I agree with you, Amala. I said that he should respect that there are certain boundaries that you don't cross. And I believe Mr. Patterson has crossed a few boundaries as a former prime minister in a realm where he need not tread. But at the end of the day, he is still a former prime minister and he should be accorded a level of respect.
I don't think just because someone is a former prime minister, a former this or a former that, and they are a danger to society, we must still respect that dangerous views that they are giving, or respect them for the office. The office, I don't respect the person that was sitting in the office if that person was a danger to the office. And he's a danger to the society.
Omalo, you respect the office as much as the man.
Huh?
You pay respect to the office as much as the man.
Not if the man that is sitting there is a danger to the office. I cannot do that. I'm just saying.
All right, Omalo.
This is just my opinion. I think this man should just turn it off and continue going home. Yeah? And leave Jamaica people. Let Jamaica people decide where their future should be at this moment. And when you have this person, the commentator, what's his name, the watchman, come and the way he presents it, yeah, the watchman is also a danger. The watchman is very much a facilitator of dangerous things towards Jamaica, and he must be. So people must start analyzing him as that. Because he's putting...
Which is what you're doing right now, Amalo. Thank God that you're on a platform where we allow your view to contend with even the views of the Watchman and the PJ Patterson, all right?
I'm just warning Jamaica. I'm just warning Jamaicans to be careful of listening to these people.
Very well, Amalo. Fair. That is how you should have started. You should have started that way. Not to tell the former Prime Minister to shut him out. That is how you should have started. Good evening.
Evening, Siobhan. Evening, Tyrone.
Greetings, Master.
Siobhan and Tyrone, say it's a good thing that Omala come first before me. Because when I listen to Watchman since night, I know that PJ Patterson is trying his best. Everything to see if he can hem himself to carry down the government. To see if he can get him party back into office. My guy that was perfectly correct. So I'm happy that he came before me. Because I agree with Omalo. I totally endorse every word that Omalo said. This man, PJ Patterson, knows it. If we should go that the route to him, if he say, you know how Jamaica people love America? Because he know what did happen to Bruce Golding. PJ Patterson is trying his other way to see if he can get round, to see if we have a full prime minister. You see, the only country can stand up to America right now is China. And we know why China can't stand up to America. We all know why. Almost 3/4 what selling in America is from China. Until last weekend gone, China decided they not buy nothing we made in America. We can't do that. And PJ Patterson know that himself. And that's why PJ Pattis is coming round the corner to see what he can get. You think I just go PJ Pattis to go out and just say what he want to say?
I will say this, Carl. I agree with you to the point where I believe Mr. Patterson's view of the world is stuck in an era that has long since passed.
Okay, well, you put it nice. I cannot put it nice. Anyhow, we're going to move to some achievements. I've did listen to the Prime Minister this evening that the way Jamaica is today, we can buffer the country to stand up to some part of Mr. Trump tariff. Did you listen to 5 o'clock news this evening? I think that was the first clip this evening.
Yes.
Could PJ Patterson say that in the 90s?
I think you can answer your own rhetorical question.
All right. I'm going to say something to you also. You remember when Jamaica did the IMF was $50 million, and PJ Patterson went to the national arena and said, "Tata IMF." You remember? I was too young.
I recall that, but in hindsight, not at the actual event, because I recall hearing about it.
You see, after he said Tata to the IMF, it's Sunday evening, all hell let loose in Jamaica. As Omar Davis don't close the budget speech the evening, he have to hold a flight. You can go check all of what me saying. Well, I want to say some things to the comrades them who are listening. I book up one in one big business place yesterday, and when he hear me voice, he say, "Boy, top disrespect PMP." Me say, still not yet hold until election call. That's what I said to him. Just hold on. And I think it'll go so. Anyhow, in a PJ Patterson time, could we have a park, a building a Portmore outside the taxpayer money?
Once again, Carl, your rhetorical question. Go ahead. Continue.
Could we have a bypass, a building a Montego Bay outside the taxpayer money? Could we have 100 JUTC all around go? Must be St. Mary now and Portland and all over the place we hear so we asked to get JUT. Could that done in the 18 and a half years when PJ Patterson was leading Jamaica? No, none of those things could have done. Could we break ground out of Mandela Highway last week Wednesday for $3 billion United States dollar, over $14 billion I was spent out of taxpayer money now. No borrowing money, PJ Patterson. Those are what they should be coming now. And then PJ Patterson, what me mouth now?
See, I like that you qualified that out of taxpayers' money, because I was going to suggest that one of the largest infrastructure projects taken on by the government was Highway 2000. That was under that administration.
Yeah, but I never taxpayer money.
That's why I said
so you qualify.
I applaud you for the qualification.
In a better place. It puts us in a better place that we can undertake these kinds of infrastructure development without having to borrow.
Tyrone, when PJ Patterson should have thought now, what PJ Patterson should be saying now, he should be bigging up the government, that the government uplift back Jamaica. That's whatever project that the government is now doing is not out of borrow money. It is out of the revenue of Jamaica. That's what PJ Patterson need to come and see if he can even ask for some forgiveness for all those people business that they mash up in the 90s and people do all suicide because of his administration. That's what PJ Patterson needs to come and talk about.
All right. All right, Mariscal. Thank you so very much. Appreciate the call.
Have a good evening, Carl.
Siobhan, the more you think about it, world powers rise and fall. We all know that. But the suggestion at this hour of the day for Jamaica to align itself to BRICS is an absolutely wild suggestion.
As I said, Tyrone, it comes from an era when we were still steeped in this whole post-colonial, anti-imperialist sentiment that I feel is very much outdated and outmoded as of the years now. It's no longer something that applies to the very pragmatic, simplified world we live in terms of geopolitics, where it's essentially a driving force is what can you do for your country. At that point in time, that is where we are. So I don't know.
No, the suggestion is that Jamaica should align itself to BRICS.
Yeah, but I would say it's based on this non-trust in the Western world, so to speak, that was born out of the post-colonial, anti-imperial sentiment that rocked the Caribbean during Mr. Patterson's time. But I don't think we're there. We're no longer in that period, and I think a lot of Jamaicans need to move on from that thinking and that sentiment and understand that the world has changed.
Yeah, it's a wild suggestion, though. I mean, given the current dynamics, the geopolitical dynamics, it's an absolutely wild suggestion from the former Prime Minister that Jamaica should, align itself. Do we have any more?
Beverly, good evening.
Hey, Mr. Shalon, good evening, Mr. Reed.
Good evening to you, Lady Beverly.
Good evening. You I want to talk to.
Oh,
hello?
Mr. Siobhan?
No, I think it's Tyrone.
I want to talk to Tyrone.
Go ahead, Beverly.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening. I hear you was talking about something about Christ died on cross the other day. And you were saying that it count the days then. If that can be the day that the Lord, Friday to Sunday. The Passion, you don't know, the Passion starts for 3 o'clock Friday morning. That is when Judas kissed the Lord and him said, you kiss the Son of Man, you betray the Son of Man with a kiss. That was when the Passion started. So all them kind of beating on him something they ain't get and died on the cross 3 o'clock Friday evening was one day. And if you count from that day to the one day to the other day, from Friday evening till Saturday morning is another day. And from that time till Sunday morning, 3 o'clock, that's why he rose on the third day, before the early morning, early that morning, the first day of the week. And that is why it was being called the Lord's Day.
I'm actually happy that you raised this with me, Lady Beverly.
Yeah.
My colleague Ricardo Brooks, who is Roman Catholic, he chastised me for challenging the view posited by the Roman Catholic Church. But I maintain, though, that the notion that it could have been Good Friday to Sunday has a difficulty with conforming to what the Lord Jesus himself said in Matthew chapter 12, verse 40. For as Jonas was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Not walking around, in the heart of the earth, meaning he would be dead for 3 days and 3 nights. That's what he said. And you can't get 3 days and 3 nights, even though my good friend is suggesting, I'm looking for the comments he sent me, but I can't find it to read it here. But you would have a difficulty getting 3 days and 3 nights between Good Friday and Sunday morning. It is not likely possible based on the math, but that is not to say that the good master didn't go to the cross, right, and died for us. But yeah, that what is being posited by the Roman Catholic Church requires interrogation. The math is not mathing.
No, the Pope don't change nothing. He was being arrested 3 o'clock in the morning when my grandmother called before there, Friday morning.
It doesn't matter when he was arrested, ma'am. He said he would spend 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That is the turning point. It doesn't matter when he was arrested. Did he spend 3 days and 3 nights? And guess what? Here's the other thing. Nothing in the Bible tells us that it was the Lord was crucified on Good Friday. Nothing in the Bible says that. That is Roman Catholicism. Yeah, that is Roman Catholicism, and it doesn't accord with the scriptures.
When we walk with him, 12 o'clock church started. We walk with him to the place where he was being crucified, Golgotha. And he died 3 o'clock. So from 3 to 3 is one day. He never had to go under the earth. It started before the Friday morning. And that is all I had to tell you. Okay.
Thank you, Lady Beverly. I appreciate you calling to set me straight. I still maintain, though.
I suppose that's where we'll have to leave this session of religious hard talk. Listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey, our technical operator Angela Glenn Anderson, my friends and compatriots in the news and production department led by the very capable Cara Powell. I'm Siobhan Campbell. Thank you to our YouTubers for joining us. Have a good evening.
Share in the experience at Fontana Pharmacy.